Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews, everyone. I hope you are all having a wonderful evening, day, wherever you are. Hope it's wonderful. So, we are going to be talking about the Alec Baldwin shooting discussion of the set of Rust, where cinematographer Halyna Hutchins lost her life. And before we do get that started, I do want to clarify a few things and explain a few things. Over the past weekend and week, we have lost one of our fellow YouTubers. His name was JJ, Sith Lord 3827.
Yeah.
And there was a stream, a memorial streams. People were holding memorial streams. People were saying their goodbyes and whatnot. I knew JJ. I've had him on my channel, I believe, once or twice. I've been on his channel, I believe, once. I've talked with him on other people's channels. We got along. We both enjoy Star Wars. And if you guys have noticed, I have not done a condolence video or stream about it. And the reason being is because when I lose somebody, I grieve privately. I have noticed that there are some in the YouTube communities out there that have railroaded other users. I'm not going to name names, but I am going to say that they have railroaded other users for not saying anything. And, well, if they had paid attention to things behind the scenes, which may or may not have been openly discussed, guess what? They would have realized that some people do grieve in private.
Yeah.
I am one of them. I do not feel going on a stream and talking about my feelings on this certain sense of loss is overly important. Also, let me just go on camera a minute here. I have been at my brother's taking care of my niece and nephew, so it is extremely hard for me to get online at times and just join a stream or make videos. That's the reason why I haven't been doing a lot of content. It's because I have other more important responsibilities that I am taking or that I am engaging in right now. I have a lot on my plate, so it's the reason why I haven't done any condolences videos. I am very saddened by the loss. I may not sound like it right now, but I am also sick. So my emotions are not really going to be that easily expressed. I'm just getting over being sick, and I'm still a little sick, as you can hear in my voice. So I wanted that clarified so that there is no confusion or anything. And with that out of the way, I'm going to say hi to my friend Aaron, Shock Skywalker, as well as Captain Trek. How you both doing?
Yeah, it's been a tough week. I mean, I've been grieving myself, so I have been on a few streams kind of paying my respects to JJ, so
yeah,
it's been tough. But, other than that, I'm doing pretty well, so.
All right. Captain Trek, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. Thank you. I do have to say that I've talked to different people, some who are more open about how they grieve, others who prefer to be more private.
Yes.
And I understand both sides.
Exactly.
Me too. Same here.
So with that out of the way, let's get into this discussion. So back in October, Alec Baldwin, while filming a movie called Rust, while during a rehearsal, shot and killed Halyna Hutchins, the cinematographer for the said film, and injured Joel Souza, the director of the film. Now, what we know, I have in talking points, here's what we know, the facts of the situation. Alec Baldwin was involved in an on-set shooting that resulted in the death of Halyna Hutchins, the production's director of photography, and the injury of director Joel Souza. We know the revolver is a single-action revolver, which requires the hammer to be pulled back in order to fire. We know that Alec Baldwin is a producer and executive producer for the film in which the shooting took place. We know that union workers reportedly walked off set due to 2 separate incidents involving the same weapon accidentally discharging. We know that Mamie Mitchell, the script supervisor, is suing Alec Baldwin, David Halls, and the armorist, Hannah Gutierrez Reed, for neglectful behaviors. We know that David Halls was fired from a previous job for the very same action that led to the shooting death on set, calling out that the gun was a cold gun, which means there are no live rounds or blank rounds in certain cases, but in this case there was no live rounds in the weapon. Obviously that was not the case. We know that Hannah Gutierrez Reed was also involved in unsafe practices in a previous job where she improperly loaded a prop weapon for use and production was shut down. We also know that Serge Savetnoy, or Sergei Savetnoy, depending on how you pronounce it, gaffer or chief electrician to Rust, is suing for severe emotional distress. We also know that Alec Baldwin has denied and absolved himself of all responsibility. We know that his brother Danny Baldwin has also come to his defense, as several other actors have as well. We know that the director David Halls has come to Alec Baldwin's defense. We know of the interview he gave where he also essentially blames the victim who got shot to death, Halyna Hutchins. We know that she is blamed by Alec for the shooting death. These are all out there, folks. These are all reported facts that can be verified. What is under speculation is who loaded the gun, how the gun came to have live rounds in it. We know that Hannah Gutierrez Reed is a very inexperienced armoress. We know that David Halls is a very neglectful first assistant director. We also know that as a producer, there are certain responsibilities that you have during the production of this film. We know that corners were cut to save money. We know that time is money when it comes to productions. So when you're cutting the wrong corners, well, yeah. We know that other actors have come out against Alec Baldwin's neglectful actions. Also, according to the Mamie Mitchell lawsuit, hold on one second, folks. She claims that Alec Baldwin pulled the hammer back and fired on purpose, meaning he had intent to fire the weapon. However, he did not have intent to kill. We also know that Alec is now saying that Halyna told me to point it at her. Well, this means you yourself, sir, should have checked the damn weapon. Now, there are some people that are calling Alec Baldwin a murderer. I do not like Alec Baldwin, but I will not call him a murderer. I will say that this may have been an accident, but it was a very easily preventable accident. If the rules of the production when it comes to firearms on set were followed, meaning daily meetings concerning the use of weapons on set, proper handling of weapons, checking them when you haven't seen them for a while so this sort of shit doesn't happen, and such were followed, Halyna Hutchins would still be alive. Her husband would be able to spend the holidays with her, and her son would not be traumatized right now.
Yeah.
We know that Hilaria Baldwin, the very disgusting individual, constantly is posting holiday celebrations with Alec in New York. Alec, who should have stayed in New Mexico while this investigation goes on. Leaving makes you look guilty. Doing a softball interview with a very good friend who is going to do softball questions is not a good look. He fully incriminated himself further by doing that interview. So these are all the things that we are aware of. So now I'm going to give some time to turn over to Aaron and Captain Trek to see what they think of all of these things that I have reported on. What are your guys' thoughts? We'll start with Aaron.
Well, my thought about all this is because last week I had heard that he had no guilt or any remorse whatsoever about the incident, and I'm like, excuse me, you are the one that had the weapon in your hand. You are the one that pulled the trigger, made the decision to pull back the hammer and shoot that weapon. I mean, and my dad has, because I took Hunter safety when I was 18 years old. I'm 26 now. And what they taught was that when you are handed a firearm, you must always, one, treat the weapon as if it were loaded, respect the weapon, 2, and 3, make sure that it is not loaded. Always check the weapon. And he failed to do so. And I think it's outrageous that they gave him a weapon because he's an anti-gun nut and absolutely knows nothing about a weapon, a gun. And just to hear him say something like that is just it makes him sound like a real, a-hole, because I can't get over how he would put the blame on someone who he shot. You silly cat, get off. And a lot of his behavior, I've seen some interviews of him recently. Actually, one of the ones that I saw was actually, whoa, we just lost Orange Hat.
And he'll be back just a minute. Keep going.
Okay. But a few of his interviews I've seen, well, one was an interview, the other one was a video. I saw this video like recently, and kind of almost strange. This one guy was just a reporter. He was just a reporter in New York, and he was trying to ask Alec some questions, and he just comes charging straight at him. I'm like, dude, he's just trying to ask you a question.
Alec has been known to assault reporters and others. Oh, sorry, folks.
Uh-oh. But yeah, extremely. I mean, I've doing some research on guns being used in film, and one of the things that I found out is that the weapon that was used, the gun that was used, was apparently a Colt 45, and like Orange Hat said, it's a single action gun, so you have to pull it back in order to fire it. And you can't. And he said when he said that he just let go, and when I heard that, it's like that can't be possible, because you have to press on the trigger to be able to release the hammer. And when the hammer hits that, what does my dad call that? I can't remember. The primer. When that hammer hits the primer, it sets the gun off, and of course it expels the bullet from the shell, as you know. So I mean, it's just, I have heard of only one other incident. That was when Brandon Lee was killed, but I think this was with, my mom said it was with shrapnel, so I don't really know much about the details. My mom would be able to tell more about what happened, and of course I'm pretty sure Orange Hat would be able to also, because I'm pretty sure, because I was born in 95, so that happened before I was even born. So, but I mean, that's the only accident I've ever heard of. And then they've done movies with guns like Pirates of the Caribbean. They've done guns with that for those films. They've also done like westerns, like John Wayne westerns. Of course, those are older.
I was sorry to interrupt. I was only 8 years old when Brandon Lee was killed, but I did hear about it when I was a kid.
Really? Oh,
I did, or what I do know is that it is slightly different from what happened on this set.
Mhm.
Hold on 1 second, folks. I just got to hand my niece over.
okay, that's fine. But yeah, go ahead. You,
Captain
you
Trek?
No, I was just going to say that I have heard some different conflicting reports as far as the proper treatment of the weapon, whether he should have been held responsible for checking it or not. And the problem was he was admittedly clicking the hammer, which, if you do that enough, can cause a gun to fire.
Okay.
That is
It's
actually
not highly possible, but it has happened.
it is very intensely rare for that sort of thing
Yeah.
to happen. Flitting with the hammer, once that hammer's all the way back, you can, or it takes the depression of the trigger to push that hammer forward. It is locked.
Yeah.
The wear and tear, or we've had another celebrity, actually, I believe, did a video where he took apart the revolver to show the mechanics. I believe it was John Snyder.
Yep.
Oh,
And
okay.
believe me, I've actually fired a revolver.
Cool.
That is
Why?
a single action. I've been to a shooting range before, and
So
I've also took gun safety when I was a kid. When I was 13, I did my gun or hunter safety course.
cool.
And one of the first things they teach you is how to properly handle weapons. The first thing you do is always treat a gun as if it is loaded. The second thing that you do is check the weapon.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
They tell you about it. They show you how to properly check it.
Yep.
And then when your test comes up, they hand you a weapon.
Yep.
If you do not check that weapon, they pull that gun out of your hand and you automatically fail.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Now, when it comes to single action revolvers, there are double action, single action, and then there are single double action revolvers. A mixture of the two, the hybrid versions. Now, double actions is where you can actually pull the trigger without shooting without having to pull the hammer back.
Okay.
The single action, you do have to pull that hammer back, or you can flip the hammer back with your hand, kind of like they do in the quick draw movies.
Like a fan, like this, bam, 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 like that. Yep, I've seen it in John Wayne films.
Yes.
I've watched enough of those to know.
However, that is not what is reported to have happened. What is reported to have happened was he pulled that hammer back, there was the audible click, and then he pulled that trigger.
Mm-hmm.
He claimed that he was told to shoot or point by Halyna Hutchins to point the weapon at her. Something tells me that that did not happen.
No.
That is a lie.
No.
And because I don't care if anybody says it's a cold weapon. If I'm a cinematographer, I'm not going to have a person point a weapon at me, whether it's cold or not.
Exactly.
I just don't trust that kind of thing. As for what happened to Brandon Lee, it was a cold gun. It was loaded with blanks. However, there was an imperfect blank in the weapon. It got lodged and discharged, and the blank itself shot Brandon Lee, killing him.
Yeah.
However,
yeah, well, I had to freaking put it over there because I just about freaking killed myself with it. Almost tripped over.
there, I muted you, Aaron, so
Sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry.
So you can have your conversation.
My bad.
But anyway, folks, this whole situation a lot of people are saying Alec bears no responsibility. When you make a conscious decision to pull back a hammer on a single action revolver and pull that trigger, you are responsible for what happens.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Secondly, you are responsible for the safety meetings. You are responsible for the for the people who are on that set as a producer, an executive producer. Executive producer handles money. Producer has responsibilities of securing safety meetings and all that other stuff. They
Mhm.
cut those corners.
Yeah.
We had Dolph Lundgren talking about how on the set of Expendables and other movies where there were rigorous gun safety training and gun safety meetings. I myself look at special features in movies, especially movies like Rambo, where they were showing the different safety measures and whatnot for different weapons.
Yep.
I have seen so many videos of shooting ranges. There's one video where this dude was taking selfies, much like the inexperienced armoress, Hannah Gutierrez Reed, doing her stupid little cross handle selfies
Yeah, that's
and whatnot.
dangerous.
Not only is
It's
that
not-
dangerous,
not-
not only is that dangerous, that is also reeks of vanity and inexperience. When you see and learn about armorers, they're very obscure figures until they're actually mentioned. They're not
Yeah.
doing photo shoots. They're not taking selfies or any of that
Yeah.
other shit. This one tells me everything I need to know through her photos alone.
Yeah,
She was very
and
inexperienced and vain.
She had both of her fingers in those trigger guards, and I'm like,
Exactly.
you're not
She's
supposed to
unsafely
do that.
handling firearms.
Yes, and she should never have been trusted with a firearm to begin with, ever.
So-
And she's 2 years younger than me.
And I do not care one iota if her father is a professional gun wrangler, Thel Reed.
Yeah.
Nope.
Well, I don't care. I mean, I don't care how experienced he is. She should have, trained a little bit more. Had a little bit more experience under her belt instead of, what she's got now.
She doesn't have any experience as far as I'm concerned. Two
Yeah.
jobs where there have been accidents and production halts because of problems going on that involve firearms that she worked with. She improperly loaded a firearm in her last job and handed it to an 11-year-old actress. They halted the production and
Oh my god.
forced her to check the weapon again.
Oh
Yep.
my god.
And then she pulls this, where she's admitting, I didn't really check the gun as much as I should have. You also have David Halls,
Should've checked
who also
it
said the
fully.
same damn thing.
Oh my
These
god.
people deserve negligence charges in the criminal
time.
courts,
Big
as
time.
does Alec Baldwin.
Oh yes.
Negligent manslaughter at most.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I
At best
agree.
is what he is guilty of.
I
He is not guilty
agree
of
with that.
murder. He is not guilty of homicide in any degree for that matter. He is guilty of
agree.
manslaughter of the negligence variety.
Yeah. Because they failed to check the firearm.
He not only failed it, but or failed to check it. He pulled the damn hammer back and had intent to shoot the weapon.
Yeah. And really, you shouldn't even dry fire a weapon. You shouldn't even dry fire a gun either. Really.
Well, actually, that's something that they do say, yes. But also, that is something that Dolph Lundgren said. Before each take, he dry fires at least twice into the ground when he's handling weapons. Because he wants to make sure that there's no problems with the weapons.
I remember seeing a video yesterday of John Snyder even talking about the Colt 45 and stuff like that. And when he was doing the video, he said he would dry fire the weapon 6 times, and that's what they would do. They'd have the gun, they'd pull the trigger because they would first they would make sure the gun wasn't loaded. Then they would dry fire at least 6 or 7 times, and they put it back in their holster, and that was it. But then if they needed the gun again, they would pick it up, check the weapon again, and do the same thing.
Yep.
Yep.
I do love what Resolute Germ just said about Hannah Gutierrez Reed. I am also very much in agreement with him.
Same here. I agree as well. Dolph Lundgren, would that be
Some guns yes, some guns no. They're forbidden ruin.
Oh boy.
But dry firing is actually something that is also known as a safety measure when it comes to certain situations. If you're shooting at the ground or dry firing at the ground and you're not pointing the gun at somebody, there's very little risk. It depends what the ground is made of. Also, if you're shooting to asphalt, there is a chance there might be a ricochet.
Wait a minute, I got an emergency.
Okay. But as for what went on here, we're going to wait for Aaron to get back before we discuss the what kind of measurement or measures can be taken for new safety measures and such. Because I actually got a few thoughts myself on how to basically prevent this from ever happening. But I will report from my own comment section in some of my videos that there are some people that are saying, "Oh, go the plastic and rubber gun route, go the or do this and that," and it's like those are all well and good. But what I would prefer to have happen is I would prefer that anybody who is using weapons on set know how to use them. I would prefer them to learn, to educate themselves. Taking the easy way out is never the best option.
No.
When you take the easy way out, like The Rock and other people are suggesting, how are you learning how to properly handle firearms? How are you taking the time to educate yourself on how these things fire? How are you going to make yourself look good in a movie if you're mishandling even a fake weapon? Didn't Baldwin say he never pointed a gun at another person? Then how did he hit her in the chest? He sets himself up for prosecution with that interview. Yes, he does. He setting himself up for a perjury charge. He says he never pointed a gun at anybody, and then he says that Halyna told me to point it right at her. That is bullshit. He is caught in a lie there. The plastic rubber guns will hurt safety expert actors like Keanu Reeves. It will make for lazy actors. Yes, it does. If you watch Keanu Reeves' weapons training, this shows you how proficient the man is. And then compare that to Gina Carano's weapons training, where she is not as experienced, but she knows how to handle the weapons as well because she was trained right. The way that you see what people use these weapons in movies, you learn, or you could tell that they have learned how to use them properly. I have seen some people using weapons in movies that make them look goddamn stupid. And I have seen others use weapons that make them look like they have been training for years. Hello, little kitten. How are you? Meow, meow, meow. Not that I don't think he can hear me, but yeah. I can't meow. Usually I could if my voice was actually working. But I did just purr.
Yes, you did.
Yes, he self-incriminated himself in that interview. Damn straight. As for the people saying that other guy was stalking Alec Baldwin, there's no proof of that, first off. There's no proof that man followed him to his home or whoever's home that was and ambushed him. That is not, or there's no proof of that, first off. Am I saying what the guy did was right? No, I'm not. I am not saying it's wrong either. All I am saying is there's no proof that the man ambushed Alec Baldwin or harassed him or stalked him. And also for those who are bitching about it, I will ask you this. Would you support that kind of behavior if it was, say, Kyle Rittenhouse, Donald Trump, or somebody else? Would you support that behavior instead of condemning it Would you condone it if it was somebody you didn't like? I want honest answers there, because I guarantee you 9 out of 10 times those people would say, yeah, well, they did, or that's different. No, it is no different. Kyle Rittenhouse was reamed and defamed for the situation that he was put in. And he is right now going through a media tour so that he can tell his side. And he is also most likely going to sue the hell out of certain disgusting individuals. As much as I don't like pretenders and how much they lie, I would trust Carano and Reeves with real guns. They would know safety above anyone else in the industry. Yeah, you're right. They would. That cat is comfortable now. Yeah, it is a very comfortable cat. Meow, meow. 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 Oh, yeah, that cat can't hear us at all. Something is going on. These court cases allowing MSM to cover up 2 school shootings and those 2 sexual assaults in others. What else are they covering up? Yeah, the media are actually defending Alec Baldwin is absolutely disgusting. And I think Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar should also be sued for defamation as well. Because, hold on one second. And I'm just going to take a swig of water as my voice is starting to go a little bit. Oh, that is much better. But yes, Joy Behar keeps using the word murder when it comes to Kyle Rittenhouse, but saying that Alec Baldwin did not, or is completely innocent, bears no responsibility, and it was an accident. He chose to pull the hammer back and pull that trigger. Right now, the Maxwell case. I am not following the Ghislaine Maxwell case, to be 100% honest. I've been staying away from political shit for a while. I'm trying to stay away from it as much as possible. The Rittenhouse case was important because it was more than just political. It was speaking to how we go forward as a country. That was the one reason why I followed the Rittenhouse case. I also followed the Jussie Smollett case, which, thank God, he is found guilty, and I hope the maximum penalty is put upon him. Sandman and Rittenhouse agreed to joint custody of CNN. Yeah, I've seen that joke too. However, Rittenhouse is going to be a lot more wealthier than Sandman ever will be.
Okay, I'm back. It's just my brothers are playing a prank.
Well,
Boys.
I give him a B for effort.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now we're going to move to what kind of safety measures would you guys implement, or that are different than the safety measures that are currently in place now, which are the common sense ones and checking rigorously and such. How would you guys either add or change the safety measures?
Guns for.
Yeah, for firearms on film.
Well, I mean, which is so because using rubber guns, it's like you don't need that. What you need is common sense for one. 2, you need safety protocol. I mean, you should always, when someone hands you a gun, you should always make sure that it's not loaded. And, just check it regularly as you would a normal gun. I mean, I was watching a video, like I said yesterday, with John Snyder. He even showed what a prop gun looked like. A prop gun, I guess, has, like, I guess it's like a kind of, I guess, in a way. But you can't fit bullets into it. Well, I guess some of them have, like, they have the barrel is open, but other times some prop guns will have the barrel clogged. So I guess that's what he said. But I mean, if you're using a real gun, the best thing to do would be to follow safety protocol. Make sure you check the weapon, and make sure when you're handing the weapon to somebody, first show them it's not loaded. And then, of course, when that person takes the gun from the other, they check that, they check the gun, and so on and so on. I mean, it's common sense. It really is.
All right. And Captain Trek.
I would say that number one, they need to make sure that it's made clear that every person who handles the gun has to sign off on it that it's been cleared.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That they have to visually inspect everything, and they have to sign off on it before they hand it off to the next person, who has to do the same process.
Yep.
Until it finally gets to its eventual location. Now, yes, it will make things more complicated, but it will also make things safer.
Yes.
Yeah.
And don't rush things, because things, like what happened can happen. I mean, guns are dangerous, yes, but only in the wrong hands. That's what people don't realize. I mean, guns can be dangerous, yes, but if that person does not know how to handle a gun, then yes, it can be dangerous. But, like I said, only in the hands of a person who does not know how to respect or treat the weapon as if it were loaded.
Yeah. The way that I would handle this is kind of piggybacking off Captain Trek. He actually has a good point there. One, every actor, I'm going to actually take a page out of Brandon Lee's Family. One, safety training for every single actor involved with handling firearms on a movie.
Yep.
They take at least a month or more to learn how to handle the different weapons. Two, when it comes to rehearsing shots with firearms, on top of the safety meetings, on top of all of that, you are going to have the armorer and all of them personally oversee the loading of the weapon. You're going to have several people witness the loading of the weapon to confirm that they are either blanks or dummy rounds. Now, for those of you who do not know, blanks are ones that go pop that do not shoot any projectiles, where a dummy round is a solid round that does not do anything.
Okay.
You would have this be witnessed by several people. You would then have the gun checked each time it passes hands. And you would have one of the witnesses continue to track the weapons passing. You would have the actor and actress, or whoever it is, being handed the gun, then check the weapon themselves. And then they would go over whatever needs to be done. When it comes to people behind the camera, they will have at least an area where the camera is set up behind a bulletproof glass housing area or unit. That way, you ensure that they are being protected. If the camera gets hit, it is an unfortunate accident, yes. But at least you are taking the proper precautions and even more safety to ensure that if there is an accidental discharge, even with all of that, there's even more safety. Yes, it will cost a lot more money for safety measures to be implemented. But you know what? At least you are taking the situations seriously, and you are making sure that people are protected in case there is another situation like this. Also, I would take this rubber gun suggestion and I would throw it out. Absolute or outright. For those who want to go the coward's way, and yes, I do see this as extremely cowardly. I will disagree with Dolph Lundgren. I will disagree with The Rock. Digital this, digital that. People are sick and tired of overly used digital effects, first off. Secondly, you're going to have to write new algorithms to show the randomness of how a bullet casing is ejected from an automatic weapon. Third, you're going to have to come up with stock sound footage. Fourth, it's only going to increase your budget even further. Digital effects are not cheap.
Nope.
For a 1-minute shot in episode 3, tons of digital effects. It cost over $2 million to make that shot.
Holy cow. Wow, that's a lot.
$2 million for under 1 minute of film. Filmed at, I believe, 30 some odd frames a second.
Oh, wow.
After his interview and the way he acted, he's ready to peddle anti-2A propaganda on CCP, CNN, like I predicted. Honestly, if he makes it a political issue, I will consider Alec Baldwin even or worse than scum of the earth. I'll actually consider him Satan's mistress.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that I would actually make a very, very big and enforceable habit of. If you are an anti-gun nut, if you are anti-Second Amendment, if you think that guns are the worst thing possible, you will not be given a role that involves your character handling a firearm. If Alec Baldwin is so squeamish about guns, he should not make movies where he is firing a weapon.
Exactly. I agree.
I saw that poster of his in Mission Impossible Fallout or whatever it is, of him handling an automatic pistol.
Mm-hmm.
Finger in the trigger guard. It's like, dude, seriously?
It's like you do not put your finger in that trigger until you are ready to fire.
Exactly. You do not put it in the trigger guard until you're ready to fire the weapon.
I remember seeing I actually watched I don't know if you know about this film, but it's one of the James Bond films. I consider one of my favorites. It's probably the only one I've seen so far, but it's called The Man with the Golden Gun.
Yep.
And I was watching this I think it's a clip. I think it was last night or so. It's kind of doing a little bit of like research on it. And I think I do know that the prop gun, and Christopher Lee, of course, was in this film. And as far as I know, I think I've seen the prop gun. It did have a trigger guard in it. And there was a scene in where it involved they had to take 10 paces apart. And Roger Moore, who played James Bond, I do believe he had his finger in the trigger, which was, of course, bad. But when Christopher Lee was walking with the weapon he had in his hand, he did not have his finger in the trigger guard. He had it outside. And that's exactly how you should, handle a gun. You should not put your finger in that trigger guard until you are ready to fire. And that's basically the main rule, one of the main rules of gun safety.
Well, I can honestly believe that Christopher Lee wouldn't do it because I know a lot about Christopher Lee's past. First off, the man was former British SAS.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes. He was a wonderful man. He really was. Very, very, very,
chances are he also has a kill count.
Yeah. Chances? Yeah.
I mean, we all are, if we've all seen the extended edition and appendices of Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, we know for a fact that he told Peter Jackson, do you know what it's like to hear somebody die or to kill somebody by stabbing them in the back? Well, I do. I've heard that. So yeah, it's not it's a
yeah. Yep. Yeah. He literally told Peter Jackson what it sounded like. I was like, awesome. Awesome. But yeah, I mean, I felt like he knew quite a deal about guns because he was in the army. And, I mean, even if you aren't even if you are outside or you've never been in the army, you should still learn. You should still know how to handle a firearm.
If you're going to handle a firearm, you need to be taught properly how to do it. You need to go
Exactly.
through training. That should
Exactly.
be an absolute requirement.
Yeah. Hunter safety is definitely one of the best things you can do. They teach you how to handle a weapon. They teach you how to load the weapon properly. They teach you about different types of firearms, like single action, double action. There's even lever action, just stuff like that. And they teach you how to shoot a gun. Just common sense stuff. Really, it's
Yeah.
all it is. All it is.
Yes, I am aware of that, JM 2021. It is good to see you. And yeah,
Yep, I heard about it myself. Couldn't
believe me, I am very happy. And to touch on that, I will touch on that for just a small second. So, small segue here, folks. Jussie Smollett being found guilty is only the first step. I want to know what what his sentence will be.
Mm-hmm.
Because honestly, I think he deserves the full consequences. I believe he deserves prison time. Now, there's going to be SJWs that say, oh, you're only saying that because he's black and gay. No, I'd actually say that against a white person too. And a straight white male. I'm a straight white male. If I did what he did, guess what?
Yeah.
I would probably get the full freaking consequences.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
My question, what does his sexuality have anything to do with it?
Because he's claiming that they attacked him because he was black and gay.
Gay? Okay.
He could be, or he can claim to be the gay Tupac all he wants. The thing is, he's not the gay Tupac, or he's still alive. First off, Jussie Smollett is. Tupac's not.
Yep. Oh, Tupac. Who's that?
Tupac Shakur. He was a rapper that got killed.
Yep.
Back in the 90s.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah. I don't know the full details, but he was one of those, he's kind of like Dr. Dre and all them. They put on the whole facade of being badasses and yada yada, and it's like, oh, hello there, puppy. I can hear one is very excited. He's
My bad,
SJW
my
idiots.
dog.
Yeah, it's okay. Obviously, don't care about evidence and logic. You're absolutely right. They don't. And 5 to 6, I'm hoping years. And no, Jussie Smollett is not a victim. Although I do like what the Daily Wire said. Jussie Smollett will be happy to know that that his attacker is now convicted. Tupac didn't have to pay $3,500 to get attacked either. Yeah, true. He didn't have to pay any money to get his ass wasted. But yeah, he ended up being killed. Now, getting back to the Alec Baldwin situation, we all have talked about how we would do safety protocols, or how we would add our own safety protocols. What does the chat think? How would you do new safety protocols for onset for weapons handling? What would be your steps? And while we're talking about it, we'll also ask the panel. Have a good night, guys. And sorry, just saying good night to the youngsters.
Of course.
Aw.
No.
Good night, guys.
Yeah.
Come on.
That's what.
No, I got to go.
Anyway, have a good night, guys. So yeah. What do you guys think should happen to Alec Baldwin? Do you think he should be charged criminally?
Yes, I do believe so.
Under what charges?
I really wouldn't know what charges there would be for something like that. But if I had anything to say about it, one of the charges would be definitely for improperly, handling a gun, being negligent
Negligent homicide. Yeah.
with with the weapon and being irresponsible as well.
that's how I would put it. I mean, yeah, I agree with you. He's not a murderer. I mean, but he should not have either. He shouldn't have, one, cocked the hammer back. Two, he shouldn't have pointed it at Halyna Hutchins, even if she said, and I don't think this is true, like you said, even if she did say, point the weapon, you should never, ever point a gun at anyone, no matter what the circumstances are. I mean, I'd even told my mom about that, and she said, well, if Halyna said to jump off a Brooklyn Bridge, would he do it, And it's like, it's just, that's one of the main rules. Never, ever, ever point a loaded weapon. Even if it's not loaded, still don't point it at someone.
Yeah. All right, Captain Trek.
I couldn't say it any better. The thing is, I would say definitely guilty, negligent homicide.
Manslaughter. Go
manslaughter.
manslaughter. He's not definitely not homicide.
Negligent manslaughter. Okay. But I do think at the same time that his sentence should be fitting of the crime and not necessarily prison.
Honestly, okay, that's what. Or I'll agree to disagree with you on that. I do think that he should be put in jail at least for some amount of time. However, the amount of time includes reckless endangerment. First off,
Yep.
Negligent manslaughter. Definitely. I'd leave it to legal experts to go, or those are the two that it would be the easiest to prove.
Right.
And intent to fire, or criminal intent to use a firearm, or intent to use a firearm.
Yeah.
Those are
Mara, what are you doing?
things that I believe should be levied against him. I do believe that the Hutchins family should sue for wrongful death.
Yeah.
And after this interview, I do believe that Mr. Hutchins, Matthew Hutchins, the husband, should also sue Alec Baldwin for defaming his wife.
He blamed her for. Yeah.
He blamed her for her death, saying that she told him to point the gun. I do not think by any stretch that happened.
No, I don't believe it happened either. I mean, why would she ask Alec to point a gun at her? I mean, I'm pretty sure she would know the safety regulation.
Would she now point it at the camera is one thing. Pointing it at her is another.
Yeah, that does
you
make
point
sense.
it past the camera's lens. You don't point it at the camera lens. You point it past.
Yeah.
You don't. It's like, that's common sense. I mean,
Well, we are talking people that are raised in a bubble. They have no idea of real world things. So yeah,
No, they really don't.
I've never really actually liked Alec Baldwin. I mean, I've seen a few movies with him, and
He's a good actor
myself.
I will say this: he is a good actor. He does a good job acting. However, in real life, this man is a fucking asshole.
Yeah, he really is. He really is. I agree. I mean, the interview that I saw, I think it was like a week or so after the incident, and he was saying that Halyna Hutchins was his friend, saying that he had taken her to dinner and stuff like that. It's like,
the side or the roadside or the roadside interview.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but first off, you're saying that Halyna Hutchins was my friend, and I took her out to dinner, and yada yada yada. Well, then you get to the George Stephanopoulos interview, or as I call it, the buddy therapy session.
Yeah.
Well, she told me to point it at her, and I'm like, this dude is not remorseful.
yeah.
He says he's not responsible. He didn't shoot anyone. He didn't kill anyone. whatever he said. And I'm like, this man is a certified psychopath.
Mm-hmm. Agreeable.
And he can lock his Twitter all he wants. He still has people who are following him because we knew he was going to lock his Twitter. He can say whatever the fuck he wants. He can post whatever the fuck he wants. That is his right.
Yep.
But it is also our right to remind him that there is a family, a wife or a husband and a son who will not be able to celebrate the holidays or watch her son grow up because of his actions.
Yep.
Alec Baldwin, without intent, took the life of another person. By the way, now he knows what it's like. When he was going, oh, I will never be able to comprehend what it's like to point a gun or to wrongfully shoot somebody. You just did. Now you know, Alec. I can't do that with Amber Heard. Alec Baldwin is a douchebag. But it's one of those things that if you see him in a movie afterwards, you can separate art from artist. Honestly, after what he did, I can look at his past works just fine. I can watch Beetlejuice. I can watch Mercury Rising. I can watch anything, or I can watch The Shadow. But anything he has done after today or after October, nope. I would forever look at him as a nutcase.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not watching any of his movies anymore. I used to. There was a movie he did called Rise of the Guardians. Apparently, he plays North in that. I won't watch it again.
I will not allow his stupidity to tarnish any of the movies that he has been in previous.
Yeah.
However, as for Jay cannot do that with Amber Heard. I can watch Aquaman. I can watch Machete Kills. However, shit going forward, I don't think I could do it. I might be able to watch Aquaman 2 or possibly stomach my way through it. But I can, or for the most part, I can separate actor from, or art from artist. Believe me, I'm not happy about a lot of the actors in Hollywood. But if you are going to live by that kind of doctrine, you might as well just stop watching movies altogether.
Yep.
Because a lot of them are pieces of shit.
Oh, yeah. But nothing like the golden age, actors.
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, yes.
I mean,
some of those golden age actors do have skeletons in the closet and did have problems. But for the most part, they never were insulting fans. They never were trying to do other shit either.
Yeah, like Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee, they were the most sweetest men I'd ever heard of. I actually come across a letter that was addressed to someone. It was by Peter, and he actually addressed the guy as Master. I'm like, wow, I've never heard of anybody.
Master can actually be used in a very proper way. If somebody was writing a note specific to my nephew, they would properly address him, they would actually use the term master.
Oh, wow. But yeah, I mean, he was, from what I heard, he was a very polite man, and he was an actor. And, he may have played Grand Moff Tarkin, which was a bad guy, but in real life, he was
Peter Cushing was a legend.
Yes, he was a very sweet man.
He played Van Helsing.
Yes, and he played
to Christopher Lee's Dracula.
Yeah. I'll never forget that part where he defeats Dracula with the candlesticks. That was pretty cool.
Well, you are also talking. There are people that back then lived outside the bubble.
Oh yeah.
It's like they didn't want to be there.
Themselves
it's like I will
Hollywood.
Work in Hollywood. I'm going to live outside because I don't want to be around this shit.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah.
I mean, Chris Pratt is doing a good job of it too.
Really?
Chris Pratt lives outside the bubble. So doesn't Sylvester Stallone. So doesn't Dolph Lundgren. They all can easily give their own thoughts on this stuff, sure.
And Gina.
But
as well.
during January or during Jan 6, Baldwin was begging Capitol Police and the Deep State Militia National Guard to gun down all those protesters in DC. Well, if he was, just goes to show he's more of a piece of shit than normal because he wanted to go along with the false narratives. Proper old English manners. Yes.
Cool. Proper old English manner.
Yeah, that is, or they're talking about the use of master, kind of like how Alfred to Bruce Wayne and his son, and also to Dick Grayson, Master Dick, Master Wayne, Master Damien. It's not implied slavery, it's simply the proper term of usage.
Yep. Your butt.
Which on many people is totally lost. So
Yeah.
that's why it's a lot of places has been dropped.
But yeah, actors now are nothing like the Golden Age actors anymore. I mean, the actors in the Golden Age were probably a lot nicer than what we have now. You know.
Well, they knew what side their bread was buttered on.
Yeah.
It's like, we have to keep these people happy. The ones now, It's like, screw you.
Yeah, we don't care about
We're getting paid either way.
Yeah. So we don't care about you. We just care about, our narrative and the money we're getting. And basically, they think we're peasants, according to them.
Of course.
That's not how you should think.
Yeah. Sorry about that,
I've been
folks.
done with them ever since. Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. It's just that there was audio playing over some of my shit, and it's like I don't want that to get my damn thing pulled. Because I have gone this long without having my streams pulled, struck, or anything like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard about Data Racer. I think he's gotten quite a few screenshots. Like I even seen the screenshots that were being directed at Gina. Oh my gosh. It's like, I kind of felt bad for her, but then she just fired right back at him. It's like, yeah. I like Gina. She's awesome. She's an awesome actress.
I respect Gina Carano, and I do know about her, and I also do like Gina Carano's content. And when I saw the rumor that she had just returned back to Star Wars, it's like, I'm going to verify this before I react to it. Now, believe me, if Gina Carano does ever return to Star Wars, that would be her choice, but I would also lose a lot of respect for her if she did. Why would anybody go back to a very abusive it's akin to going to an abusive relationship.
Yes.
Back to one.
I have a feeling she may not. I mean, I really think that she's really upset with Disney, that the fact that they they did what they did to her, and it's like, yeah, I wouldn't even go back, if they did.
I hate to say it, but it really will come down to the money. If they offer her enough money and a big enough contract, it's possible.
Nope, not after what she did. Not after what she did. She outed Disney. They are not going to hire her back. That interview with Daily Wire, with Ben Shapiro, she completely outed Disney.
Yep.
Not to mention she also basically said that they were trying to publicly shame her.
Of course they were.
I mean, they were trying to put her in sorry for the segue, folks, but they were trying to basically put her into a Zoom call with 40 plus LGBTQIA XYZ, Bob's your uncle, yada yadas, and so that they could all bitch and yell at her. Do you think for 1 second that Disney was not going to somehow leak those or that video?
No.
I'm telling you now, they would have.
Oh, absolutely would have.
Why?
Oh yes, because they would have shown that to the LG, or they would have shown that they care for their fans. It would have been used as a pandering tool.
That's true.
Anything they can use to put them in a positive light is going to, they're going to use it.
Yep. Oh, I know. They'll do anything for money and their own narrative. It's sickening to me.
Forbidden Ruin has actually answered the question. Yes. That is what I asked. 1 month full gun training every year. 0 tolerance. No gun training. No guns for that pretender.
Exactly.
2 fully licensed, renewed licenses every 12 months. Good ideas. I wonder if Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano have the same mindset politically and organically. I do not know, and honestly, I do not care what their political stances are.
Yeah, same here. I don't.
When it comes to actors and actresses, they're allowed to believe in what they want to believe politically. But my own thoughts are akin to Anthony Hopkins. Actors and actresses are stupid. They should not touch, or they should not speak on politics. One, it's inherently divisive. You are automatically alienating half your fan base.
Yep.
2, what the fuck do you really know about politics other than the fact that most of them listen to the mainstream media and that's where they get their shit from?
Yep.
They don't pay attention to anything else because if they did, they wouldn't be as dumb as they are. Let's be honest.
You stinker.
Yeah. And 3, armorer must show and go through the same training and display safety. Yes.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah. Also, that is another good thing that we can discuss is when you are doing a job like an armorer, you should have at least years of experience, meaning you should be able to show off what you know without doing it in a way that speaks to ego. You actually should have no ego at all.
Nope. I agree.
Or every gun on set must be checked for defects and ensure a misfire could never happen. You're never going to be able to properly ensure that a misfire will never happen. You can only decrease the possibility of an accident or decrease the chances as you go. I agree. Politics should not be inserted into entertainment, regardless of political spectrum. Someone may be on, yeah. But anyway, have we covered everything that everybody wanted to say?
Yeah, pretty much. I wanted to say something. Agree politics shouldn't be inserted. I mean, an actor's job is to entertain, not to voice their own opinion, in my opinion. So that's all I want.
They're allowed to voice their own opinions, but they should keep that shit private, in my own opinion.
Exactly. I agree with that as well. I agree with that. They should keep it to themselves.
When they are asserting their political belief on a project they're working on, they don't necessarily know what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah.
So, Captain Trek, is there anything that you wanted to get off your chest?
Well, let's see here. I'm taking a few days off, so I'm not going to be off. I need a break.
Okay.
So,
understandable.
I'm going to going to restart the morning brew on Monday. Until then, I'm just taking off.
Well, you do what you got to do, bud.
I got them back.
So, is there any content you wish to plug, Captain Trek?
Resolute Germ does a Saturday morning cartoon. I usually take place on it with him. So that's Saturday morning at 10 Central.
Alrighty.
So
That's actually a good idea too.
Sorry, did you call my name?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. My bad.
5, mandatory chain of evidence and safety forms filled out when a gun changes hands, including names, dates, times, and such. We do it for payroll. It should be mandatory for guns. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Gosh darn it, Mara, stop.
Is there anything you want to do or you want to plug or Aaron?
Me?
Yes.
Mara.
Well, I can just say right now that the interview that Alec Baldwin had, if he does any more, I think he may get into more trouble than he may be, because I mean, he pretty much lied about the whole thing. So I mean, it's kind of like almost like, you know, like my mom always told me this story, the what's it called, Big Bad Wolf or something like, no, the boy
Yeah.
who cried wolf. That's it. You know, he'd be like the boy who cried wolf. And he would keep lying and lying and lying, and I think he would just get into more trouble, you know, by doing all of these, interviews and stuff, because we all know what happened. He pulled the trigger, he pulled the hammer back, pulled the trigger, and really, he needs to man the heck up, and he needs to
JJ.
Mara, will you stop? He needs to, have, what's what I'm looking for?
Accountability.
He has to have accountability for what he's done. He needs to be held responsible for the wrongful death of this woman, because and what's outrageous to me is that the fact that a 17-year-old boy back in 2020 was defending himself, and he was taken to court over defending himself, and yet when Alec Baldwin shoots and kills this woman, Halyna Hutchins, the media doesn't do anything about it. They don't touch anything, and Alec Baldwin doesn't go to court over it. It's kind of outrageous, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And basically, you're just trying to paint him as a victim, and it's like the real victim is Halyna Hutchins and her family, because her husband and her son have to now spend, because her son has to now spend his entire childhood without her.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can't imagine what that little boy is going through right now. I feel so bad. And and her husband, he has to raise her child alone now because of what he did. And really, he should be held responsible, and he should own up for what he did. Really.
Yep.
He
Fully
needs to
agree.
be held responsible.
And I fully agree. Anyway, folks, that is going to wrap it up for this discussion. I think that this discussion was well done and well deserved. And I want to thank Aaron for actually suggesting this stream.
Thank you.
And I decided it's like, yeah, you know what? It'd be a good idea to have some people come on and discuss this.
Yeah, it needs to be talked about. So
Yes, it
I mean,
does.
Yep. And I will be covering more situations as they unfold. When new information comes out, you can bet your butts that I will be reporting on it. Also, stay tuned for tomorrow, folks. The Versus streams are still going. Tomorrow night is Mara Jade versus Starkiller from Star Wars.
Ooh, I might have to join that stream. I do like both of those characters. I just don't know much about Mara, though. I do know a lot about Gallic, though.
We'll
I like
cover
Gallic Marek.
Yeah,
He's cool.
Well, we cover them both, so I'll let you in on that one as well. Tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Also, next week, I have my mystery reviews, or my mystery review that Wednesday, plus Friday next week will be Assassin's Creed discussion, the movie, not the games. So look for that one. And yeah, I will be going, or the mystery reviews are not going to be in the morning. They're going to be in the evening. So the kids are asleep by the time I go live because I'm going to be here watching my niece and nephew. So yeah,
Okay.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in
You're welcome.
and
Always.
everybody for supporting the channel. I'm still trying to get to 2,000 watch hours before the new year. I'm also trying to get to 800 subs. So if you guys can share the channel out, watch some of the playlists, it really does help. Thank you, everyone. Y'all have a great night. Y'all are freaking amazing and beautiful people. Dear Lord, they made a movie about, yeah. Anyway, folks, this has been Orange Hat Reviews, Captain Trek, and Shock Skywalker, or Aaron.
Live long and prosper.
Have a wonderful night, and always remember, stay humble.